With the start of the season just around the corner here, we're here to give you our top tips to help you crush those tryouts and then carry that momentum into the start of the season. So stick around to find out our tips. What's going on, guys? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Braden Pearl and I'm the founder of Advancement Hockey Advising, where we help elite hockey players advance to the next level in their careers. All right, so let's get things started here. So when it comes to tryouts, I would say the first thing we really have to focus on is the preparation before the camp. Now, what does that mean? I think you guys all know is to work your bag off during the summer, okay? This means really making sure that you're practicing on your strengths, really focusing on them, honing your skills and making them sharper. For your weaknesses, also honing on them a bit, not too much. You really want to focus on your strengths, but you want to make sure that your weaknesses aren't pulling you back during camp and during the season coming up. So you really want to hone those as much as you can. Afterwards, once you work on the skills, once you work on the strengths, weaknesses, you also want to make sure that your nutrition is dialed in, that your sleep is dialed in, that you have a good off-ice workout program as well, and that you're getting stronger, you're putting the reps in, you're making sure your cardio is good to go, right? You're doing all these little things. And also a big gold nugget that I like to put in is the mindset piece too. A lot of people kind of neglect this, really making sure that every rep, every set, everything you're doing in the summer, you're honing in your mindset at the same time. If things aren't going as planned, you know, if you're doing battle drills, you're really getting outpaced, well, you really have to make sure you reset and you put your mindset to the right direction as well, okay? So that's a little component that a lot of people miss, but making sure every single thing is dialed in. You're working day in and day out to make sure that you are completely prepared for the upcoming season, okay? So really important during the summer, work your absolute bag off so you are prepared to dominate in the season coming up. All right, so now that you're done preparing in the summer and you are now at camp, how do you actually dominate at camp? I've made videos on this before, but basically the biggest thing I like to say is make sure your compete level is high. Every single rep, every single shift that you do, make sure you're absolutely competing at the highest level. It's easy in camp to kind of become complacent. You're still coming off of summer hockey, right? It's easy to kind of fall into that groove in a way, but really make sure that you're dominating every single shift. You're competing that much more, winning that extra puck battle, doing everything you can to compete. Ties into my other point here where it's to make something happen every shift, okay? Any shift that you have an opportunity, whatever it is, blocking a shot, making that extra hit, winning that extra puck battle, making that extra play, whatever it is, every single shift, strive to make something happen. If you do that and you have a high compete level, you are going to be in a great spot. A couple other things at camp to dominate: make sure that your body language is positive, right? It's the easiest way to get scratched off the list. If you're just shrugging your shoulders, you're yelling at teammates, slamming sticks. I tell this to guys every year at our showcases, you know, and we always see it, at least one guy doing the negative body language stuff. So don't be that guy. Make sure that you actually lift your teammates up, that you show good leadership qualities, and that you're actually a whole positive person altogether to be around. If you do that, coaches will recognize it. If you're negative, it's the easiest way to get scratched off the list, okay? Last thing I want to mention here is that you stick to your strengths, okay? Be the type of player that you are. Present yourself as that type of a player when you're competing hard, okay? So if you're a goal scorer, score some goals. If you're a playmaker, make those plays. If you're a shutdown defenseman, shut down the other team, okay? Do what you got to do, but really important that you don't try and be something that you're not, that you market yourself as who you really are as a hockey player. If you really compete hard every shift, if you try and make something happen every shift with good positive body language and good leadership, you will really impress the coaching staff, and chances are you will probably make the team and be a force on the team here. So the next point that I want to touch on here is really making sure that the mental game is on point, okay? I know I mentioned it a few times before in this video, but I really want to emphasize this and make it its own point because it's extremely important. It's what separates often the elite hockey players from the really good hockey players that just can't get to that elite level because there's a mental separation, okay? There's mental blocks sometimes. So the mental game, extremely important. What happens between your two ears, especially for goalies, shout out to the goalies out there, super important, makes the world of a difference. Now, how do you get your mental game on point? Usually you want to get a nice routine, a way, whatever it is. Every player is different, but some sort of a routine that gets you in the zone for the game. Super important here, whatever that is. Every player has their own little routine that they do, but making sure that you're focused in the zone, dialed in whenever it's game time. And if you had a bad shift, that you're able to come off the ice, reset mentally. There's different techniques that I've covered in the past on this that we can link up if you want to, but basically reset mentally, get back in the shift, really making sure you're locked in and in the zone. After the game, you can get out of the zone, you can chill, you can do whatever you want, but really making sure you're dialed in during the game. Now, that doesn't mean going guns blazing, super intense, where you're totally out of control. Quite the opposite. When you're in the zone, the ideal state that you want to be in, and I'm sure you guys have felt this before, is a nice, calm, relaxed, poised state that's a little bit fired up and has that little edge. but in a nice, calm, relaxed way. One of my old clients, Liam Lefebvre, was the best at doing this. He was always calm. No matter what fire was going out, he always had that calm demeanor, took a half second, made that really nice play, really good at that, you know? So the really elite players like Crosby, McDavid are able to do this. Whatever you have to do to be able to be calm, poised, but have that little edge and get in the zone, that's the state that you want to be in. That's what you want to practice throughout the summer and really master when you're going to training camp here. All right, so with camp done, now we're moving on to the season, right? How do you carry that success of dominating at camp and going throughout the season? Well, it's to build off that momentum, okay? There's too many guys that are camp stars or guys that you see in the inter squad games dominating, and then you get to the preseason games or you get to the actual season games and they kind of flop and have a slow start. You don't want to be that guy. You want to use that momentum that you did to build out throughout the summer, to really dominate at camp, and then build that into the season here. Carry that momentum. The biggest thing on how to do this is discipline and staying consistent where you're not becoming complacent. Complacency is the enemy. I learned this back when I was playing junior hockey. I told this story countless times where I became complacent, got cut halfway through the season. Okay, you don't want to be in that situation, so really make sure that every single day you strive to do just one more. You strive to get just a little bit better, okay? You're not becoming complacent, you're pushing through every single day. If you do this, absolutely you will carry that momentum and you will likely succeed and dominate in the season as well. So really important, you dominate in the summer, you know, when you're on your own, when no one's watching. At camp, you absolutely dominate, you carry that momentum into the season, and then you are good to go and you will crush it this year. That is a wrap for the video here, my friends. Hopefully you got a lot of value out of it. If you want to keep watching, click here or click here. If you haven't already, absolutely destroy that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And if you have any questions for us, feel free to drop a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We will catch you on that next one.